we need a law like ENDA passed, because even though people say that, states can make like separate laws, but we really just need a whole entire country united saying that you cannot fire someone just because they're lesbian, gay, or bisexual.
Or transgendered. Lena, since you're the business major, you'll probably know this, but if you get hired at a place in California, which has anti-discrimination laws, and their base of you don't move, but their base of operations moves to one of the 26 states with no LGBT protection laws on, will they be able to, under that state's law, fire you for being gay even though you reside in a protected state?
If I were gay, then yes, that would be able to happen. That's also like, not just that, but other laws. That's why sometimes people will move to different states, because there's different laws, including tax laws, that apply differently over there.
Okay, so a anti-discrimination law, if it stays on the state level, will work in the same way those tax haven laws do?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So that's why you want it on a federal level.
Yeah, that sounds really important, because I know that if some of the gay people I know were to get hired at some of the businesses they want to, they're not going to be moving out of the state anytime soon.
They're protected by the state they're in. So even if the business headquarters is in a different state,
and that headquarters does have, the headquarters allowed to apply that rule. So if you were moving with them, they can do that kind of stuff.
Oh,
because that's where their corporate's looking. That's also why they do taxes. It's actually, like in California, we have a lot more taxes than we do in some other states in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. So a smart business thing to do would be to move to the Midwest, and you can have a lot less taxes over there.
That's unfortunate.
I guess for you. I'm the business major, so I would disagree.
Well, as you guys probably heard in the beginning, I was born deaf, and being deaf, kind of like being gay, you kind of know you're outcasted. And well, luckily I had my mom there for me, and without her I don't think I would have made it through. She was always there for my surgeries I had. She was there for my medication when I needed it. She was there for my parent meetings. She would say, my daughter is deaf and you understand that. And I don't think it mattered whether or not she was gay. It just matters that she was a mom and she was there for me.
Alright, so now we're going to talk about, I guess, our political affiliations, just so
you'll see that we're all very, very different.
Yeah, so that's a good thing.
No stripes the same.
Well, my political affiliation is, I believe in the Republican ideology. I think there should be as minimal government as possible in everything. So, to be honest, if it wasn't for the fact that it would be necessary because of how persistent the discrimination is and how there's not a real way to make it public so people can say, I won't buy from you.
Protecting rights, basically.
Then that would, and protecting rights, I guess that would make this necessary. If people were, I guess, working to be better, and they were, as stated, people were studying more into what they buy and what they work with, were able to say, okay, I'm not going to go for you because of that, then I would support no real law, just everybody being good and saying, I'm not going to buy from you. But because that's not possible, I do think the ENDA is necessary. But mine is to state I'm politically a Republican. Little government.
Eisenhower type, it seems.
Yes, well, I don't think your emotions should get in the way of anything with your political reasoning, hence why I agree with the Republican Party. Since I don't care how my emotions feel about things or how your emotions are. We just vote based on what's good for the government.
Or good for the people.
And the people, yes.
Politically, I wouldn't say I'm naive, but I don't really have any sort of affiliation with what's available.
I consider myself a Democrat, though it's more like I have very left-wing opinions. I'm very for the people, and I feel like the Democrat Party cares more for people's freedoms. I know you're going to disagree with me, but this is family.
No, what Republicans do. We're okay. What's your political party?
Yeah, what's your politics?
Non-partisan, basically. I don't give a...
My political party is no party. I honestly am just for the people and being a true democracy.
Thank you guys. Okay.
I'm the only Republican.
Does anybody have any ideas? Well,
I'm the only Democrat, technically.
Yeah, but you're all...
Well, Democrats for the
Well,
white.
we're not going to get into
We
this
fight a
political
lot.
debate right now.
We love you.
Yeah,
We all love our mom.
We
We love our
appreciate
mom.
you.
Without
We all
her, we wouldn't
love
be
our mom.
half the people we are.
Without her, I would be dead.
Yes.
No, you wouldn't.
Quite literally, without her help and protection and caring and effort to make him fully integrated into normal adult society, Willie would probably be in like a sanitarium type situation.
Or just
And
not speak a bunch.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, she certainly has helped William be as normal, mature adult and individual as he has been.
Well, we don't... Having lesbian parents isn't a bad thing for us. We do enjoy both our parents, even if they did separate, and it's fine with us. We love them both, and we don't think people should be prejudiced against either them or us just because of that.
Yeah.
So.
My name is Bridget Wilson, and I'm an attorney in San Diego, California. Yeah, my undistinguished military career was 3 years in the U.S. Army Reserve, and an additional decade in the California State Military Reserve as a JAG. But you know, really, my work is not based as much on personal experience as the people who have come to me over the years. I practice in obviously military law. I work with government employees because I'm in San Diego. Virtually all of those DOD in some manner. And of course do civil litigation in several areas, including just general employment law. So that's kind of what I do. One of the problems that we have in employment, it's one of the reasons the Civil Rights Act happened, was because from state to state you have this remarkable inconsistency. We're in California, and in California we're very lucky because we have good law here. It got hammered out over decades of doing battle. Part of the problem we have now is that we've not been able to find a way to protect people from being fired for being gay. Very few states have statutory protections like California. Few states have friendly court systems. And in large part, judges don't make law. You know, Americans have this uninformed, I think, blind faith that the courts will do the right thing. And they think that courts make law, but law is always retrospective, and judges don't do new things very often. It just seems like it because on those rare occasions in which they do, we see a lot of that. So people will talk to you about Brown versus Board of Education. People have to remember that Brown versus Board of Education didn't happen until 1954, and barely at that. So, you know, there's decades and decades of things that go by. The Civil Rights Act did something really important. It gave a whole group of people, by race, by gender, by religion, by national origin, it gave whole groups of people the ability to get some form of formal redress for the problems of discrimination and harassment. But the courts changed things slowly. It was the mid-'80s, for example, before the courts recognized that sexual harassment is a form of sex discrimination, sex-based discrimination. Up to that time, and you know, for a short time after that, while it was being battled out in the courts, you would have judges who would describe telling a woman that she had to have sex with you or she was fired as being normal male behavior. It's only been really fairly recently that any court recognized that there's such a thing as same-sex sexual harassment, actionable under Title VII. California added these things to state law, well over a decade ago, but sexual orientation didn't land until the mid-'90s. I mean, there's really, I think, there's an idea that there's a law for this, and there's not. Well, they can't do that, can they? They can. in the majority of states in the United States, your boss can walk up to you and say, I found out you're gay, or you're gay, or you're a lesbian, or bisexual, or transgendered, and you're fired. And I can do that lawfully in that state, because there is no law that says I cannot do that. Even if I'm working for a very large chain of businesses, say Cracker Barrel, for example, or Chick-fil-A, for example. You know, that boss can walk up to me in the majority of American states and say, you're fired, I don't like gay people working for me. Or you're too swishy a man, or you're too masculine a woman, or you don't fit what we think you should fit in terms of those stereotypes. Now, you might think that would fall into gender discrimination, but pretty much it doesn't. Because really the sexual orientation has been carved out into this universe separate from everything else, which is the only reason we need a separate law. If sexual orientation had been passed and incorporated by the courts to include sexual orientation, we wouldn't be here. But because it hasn't been, we need a way to protect people from these kinds of arbitrary, discriminatory, and hateful actions by employers. It just has to happen. The other thing is that if you are a federal government employee, for example, your protection is not part of the equal opportunity program that the federal government offers its employees. You are largely looking for your ability to go to the Office of Special Counsel and the Office of Personnel Management and the Merit Systems Protection Board with complaints based on an unlawful employment practice based on executive orders issued and reiterated by Bill Clinton and then Barack Obama. And that depends, of course, upon the whims of the Office of Special Counsel, which during the Bush years was run, for example, by Scott Bloch, who was a virulent, unapologetic homophobe. And you were going nowhere. It was a real battle to even get anywhere in that administrative system. Right now, we have some willingness on the part of the current OPM management to accept sexual orientation discrimination claims. But that goes away with the next not gay-friendly administration that walks through the door. So you need a way for people to protect themselves and people to address discrimination. Discrimination belongs in the hands of those people who handle employment opportunity issues and know what they're doing with it, and that door is open to protect you as a matter of policy. Otherwise, federal employees would have no protection whatsoever. So that's kind of those are some of the reasons that I think that you want that uniform law. You know, uniformity is one of the things that we do with law. It tells people what to do and what not to do. You know, and philosophically, I've heard people say, I remember in law school being in an employment law class and having the local Federalist Society guys saying, well, the free market will cure discrimination. Obviously, they weren't old enough to remember some of the things that I do. I grew up in a world that still had Jim Crow.